guests to celebrate this evening. And we're going to begin with the Wall of Fame recipients for 2024. The Michigan City Area Schools and Then Some Wall of Fame honor school employees who have made outstanding contributions to the children of the Michigan City Area Schools. The award, first presented in 1976, recognizes employees from every area: administrators, transportation staff, custodians, food service personnel, instructional assistants, maintenance personnel, paraprofessionals, teachers, and secretarial staff. The Wall of Fame is permanently displayed in Heritage Hall at Michigan City High School. After tonight, there will be 206 inductees featured on the Wall of Fame, all of them legends in our school system and community. And you may remember, as of 2019, we completely ran out of space on the wall. But this past fall, we had an open house to celebrate the unveiling of a new and improved Wall of Fame, which will last us for years to come. Thank you to all who attended that and all who were part of that project. My special thanks goes to Betsy Cohn and Dave Williamson. I'm not certain that Dave is here tonight, but give all who participated in that wonderful unveiling a big round of applause. Now, selection for the Wall of Fame is a rigorous process. Anyone in the corporation or in the larger community can nominate a former employee. To qualify, the candidate must have been employed by the Michigan City Area Schools for at least 15 years. He or she must have been retired from the school system for at least 5 years. Nominations for the Wall of Fame are accepted each spring, and inductees are selected by a committee of current Michigan City Area Schools employees representing all employee groups. At this time, I would like anyone who has served on the Wall of Fame committee, either this year or in the past, to stand and be recognized. We also have several of our past Wall of Fame recipients in attendance tonight, and I ask them to please stand. Renee Buell, Earl Cunningham, Renee's in the back, Tom Domkowski, also Vice President of our school board, Meg Kanya, Kent Lang, Jane Malott, Chuck White, and last but not least, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time here, Herb Higgin. Herb was inducted into our Wall of Fame in 2022, but unfortunately he came down with COVID and was unable to attend the banquet where he was actually honored. But Herb, we are so pleased that you are here with us tonight. The contributions that he made personally, stand up for us. For your service as the Safe Harbor Coordinator, which has impacted thousands of our students over the years, please give him even a bigger round of applause. To introduce the Wall of Fame recipients for 2024, we turn to some people who have known them well. Presenting the awards are individuals who were instrumental in nominating our recipients this year. First, we welcome to the podium Matt Blair. Matt is a proud graduate of the Michigan City area schools who went on to become a high school and a Division I college golf coach. He is here tonight to introduce his former golf and basketball coach and his role model, Rick Cummins. Please come forward.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, they wanted me to say something serious about Coach, so it took me a long time to create this speech. But I want to thank the Michigan City area schools and to Coach Cummers for this opportunity to induct him into the Hall of Fame, the Wall of Fame, sorry. A well-deserved honor to Coach and his family. When Coach asked me to do this, I couldn't answer fast enough yes. But I started to think, he's had some Mr. Basketballs, a couple others. Those guys' phones must have been off when they called. So I appreciate it, Coach. And of course, my wife started to ask me, have you been working on your speech? And I was like, no, because it's going to take a long time to think of all the things that I've done with Coach and all the things that he's done for many of my friends. And, just really appreciate everything that he's done. And one of the things, of course, that I think back of is a lot of things like Coach Cummers and Coach Cunningham. They ruled the northeast corner of the second floor at Rogers High Schools for many decades. And, the one big thing is I'll be nice because this is an educational setting because my vocabulary is not very good, but they were the north end of a south-ended horse, right? So you guys know what that is, right? So, but to them, a lot of people thought that they were, my locker was right there, so I was really online. But you watch them straighten some kids out. But the one thing is, to a few of us, they touched our lives to change others, and that's why I became a coach. And sorry, I was going to not break down, but this one got me. So let's get back to the speech. It'd be a lot easier. So one of the things about being a coach, he took me down to the state finals, missed his daughter Christy's birthday for 2 years to take me to the state finals. But one of the things, him and my father were great friends. And my junior year, we decided to go to the pool, right? So next thing you know, Coach jumps in. He's like, "Oh, Judy just bought me some brand new swim trunks. Oh, these are nice." And he gets out of the pool and he starts drying off, and these sailboats come on his shorts. And my dad, if my dad was still alive, he would hear about it every day. Coach, my dad just gave him the hardest time for that. But one of the things of being a coach, and one of the things that stood out to me was my freshman year. I transferred from New Prairie, and I came in. I was a 5 at New Prairie, and the New Prairie coach said, "Hey, you're never going to play basketball at Rogers." So again, I was a center. I played the 1 at Rogers, so Coach really saw talent. I got to tell you that right now. He saw me as a point guard, and the looks of it today doesn't look that way. But I was a little lighter back then. But the thing is, I made the JV as a freshman, which was a great honor. And we're going in to play New Prairie, and that was the year that we were number 2 in the country. And we're walking in, and the New Prairie coach goes, he says, "Hey, I see you're the manager." And Coach nudges me and he goes, "You just earned yourself some playing time, kid." So that might have been the only time I played that year, but hey, I got in the game. It was pretty important. But so Coach always knew the moments, and that's a true trait of a coach. When they see kids and they see that moment, they know when to raise them up. True part of being a coach. And for me, being a coach for the last 23 years, I try to find those moments in my students, and that was because of Coach. Back to the speech. Now I'm lost. Okay. And then, I could tell you many stories about golf. Trust me, many. And but one that was actually kind of funny was my senior year. I was one of the 5 guys to get picked to win the state championship. And I forgot to tell Coach that I started the year at 210 pounds and finished it at 160 because I had severe stomach flu. And, you know, I was kind of afraid to miss a match and all that fun stuff. So, you know, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. So that thing is, we get down to the state finals and I'm getting sick. I mean, I'm not just getting sick, like I'm getting sick. And Coach, oh man, you must be nervous. Oh man. So next thing you know, he calls my dad and he's like, Bob, I think I got to take this kid to the emergency room. So my dad's like, yeah, I'll be on my way down and take the kid, you know. So all of a sudden, Coach, we get there, and, you know, my dad was a police officer. He drove a little faster than most people. And the next thing you know, Coach starts wondering. He's like, well, I hope Bob gets here pretty quick, because I don't think I'm going to pay for this ER visit for this kid. So, you know, and then the next day I get these 2 big shots, and I won't go there. So anyways, but didn't play so well, but, you know, Coach was, you know, he's like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, Coach, I was afraid I wasn't going to play. And so, you know, again, true traits of a coach, and, you know, he really had it. And so then, you know, many years ago, I did attend Michigan City. Most people don't believe, but I did. And, you know, there were 2 teachers that really touched my life, and it was Miss Lysott and Coach Cummers. And Coach saw that I was struggling with school, and, you know, he just kind of pulled me off to the side. And, you know, I don't know if Coach remembers this or not. And I was telling a funny story earlier about some of my college days. And, you know, I had a 4.0 in college. It just took 2 semesters to do it. So, but the thing is, you know, Coach always told me, you know, go to class, sit in the front. And I did. And, you know, my stellar 2.2, I'd have been in the honors college in that course. But again, I thank Coach. And that's a true trait of a teacher. Coach embodied both, coach and teacher. And then as we got older, we became friends. And never failed. Coach would always give me a call, and when I needed it, when I needed advice, I always said there was 2 jobs I would leave for: Ball State. I know everybody's going, boy, go Cards, okay, and Notre Dame. And I actually got offered both, but Ball State really tore at my heartstrings because that was my alma mater. And Coach just laid it all out. He says, hey, find the pros and cons. And you know, the bad thing is those darn cons were my family. You know, no, just teasing, honey. So, but, you know, the good thing was it was Coach that helped me make that decision. And, you know, 2 years later, it was the right decision. It was the right decision for my alma mater. And it was the right decision for my family. So I thank you, Coach. Back to the script. Okay, so I'm getting close to my 5 minutes. I can feel it. So I'm going to do this. Coach, welcome to the Wall of Fame. It was a great honor to be able to induct you, and I would love to present you this plaque as the class of the 2024 Wall of Fame.
You can take that.
Okay, there you go, Coach. Thank you so much. Love you. Shake.
Now come on up.
Thank you.
There'll be a lot of thank yous in my speech tonight. I'd like to congratulate my Rogers colleagues, the late Bruce Fisher, Dan Ruth, and Gloria Dumkowski, a big Rogers fan, and Jen Radford, who I'd worked with on some curriculum things. To you retirees, it's a great invention, but don't answer the phone, because for some reason, Michigan City area schools will reel you back in. And I was reeled in, but it wasn't by my choice. I wasn't home. Our daughter at the time, Courtney, was living with us. She answered the phone. Clausel Harding explained the job. Courtney said, Dad's not interested, but Mom will be interested for him. And so 8 years I've been teaching high school equivalency. One of the best things I've done, it keeps me busy in the winter. So I can't complain about it, even though I do sometimes, but it's been fun. Now, I'd like to thank the school board, of Michigan City Area Schools, Dr. Eason Watkins, Dr. McCallum, Betsy Cohn, the MCEA, and the Wall of Fame Committee. Dr. Eason Watkins, congratulations on 14 years as being superintendent. That's about 11 years longer than most superintendents in Michigan City. I wasn't that funny in the classroom. I'd like to thank my family, my mom and dad, Ray and Susie Cummers. They're looking down proud at me, probably wondering what I'm going to say. Mom was in charge of the clothing bank for 14 years, the Fort Wayne PTA, Fort Wayne Community Schools, but it was through the PTA. Mom had one rule running the clothing bank. Mom came from a poor family, my grandmother. She said it's not a crime to be poor, but it's a crime to be dirty. So the social workers were told the kids had to be clean before they got any clothes. Now Dad is dead. And when I was in the third grade, fall of '62, the Pistons were going to play the Boston Celtics at the Coliseum in Fort Wayne. Bob Cousy, a Hall of Fame guard, was going to be playing. I said, Dad, I'd like to see Bob Cousy play. Now, I hated the Celtics, but I wanted to say I've seen Bob Cousy play. Dad said, pass your spelling, get 100 on your spelling test, and we'll go to the game. I missed one word. Dad went with a friend of his, and I stayed home. And that's the honest to God truth. And, you know, I knew better than to complain because he set the parameters. And that's what Mom and Dad did with my sisters and I. They gave us rules to live by, and on the whole, we did that. I'd like to thank my wife, Judy, for being a great coach's wife. She understood the great highs and the great lows. She understood that basketball was part of her family. More importantly, she understood me and allowed me to question people at the state level when it came to business and marketing. Our daughters, Christy and Courtney, they had to live up to being Rick Cummer's daughters. Now, they were in the LaPorte schools, so you wouldn't think it would matter as much. Christy, you only made the team because your dad's a coach. Courtney's sixth grade playing time was decreased when her coach found out her dad was a coach. When she was 7 or 8, we had a birthday dinner at Holly's, or not Holly's, but at Applebee's. That dinner was interrupted, it's November, it was interrupted 14 times by people talking to me. Even after I was out of coaching, they were still known as Rick Cummers' daughters. I'd like to thank my principals. Joe Pickard, principal at McCutcheon. Doug Adams, Tim Beatry, interim principals Steve Martin, Kevin Goralchek, assistant principals Cal Kitchell, Gene Albert, Lydia Jager, Sylvester Mabone, and John Boyd. Every counselor that I worked with did a great job finding me students for my co-op program. Secretaries and custodians, Shirley Menke, the incomparable Joyce Westfall, Teresa Green, Joe Novak, and Joni Lehman. Custodians, Tony Wojcicki, Bill Johnson, Charlie Zachnown, and Jim Rustbolt. My business department colleagues, Ben Toth, Jack Marriott, Bob Zawacki, Chuck White, Earl Cunningham, Cheryl Kepke, Esther Schlegelmilch, Phyllis Stark, and Kathy Walker. We're the best department in the building. I came to Rogers with 3 years' experience teaching at McCutcheon. With that group, you learned how hard you had to work to be a good teacher. And you learned that there's more activities than just being in the classroom at a high school. We were sports oriented as a department, and we did a lot for the athletic department. And we wanted to be the best school in town, and that included the whole staff at Rogers. There are some Wall of Famers who decided to take me under their wings. Gene Parrott, Hussein Hakim, Del Lonzo, and Bill Sims. I'd like to thank Dr. Sam West and Dr. Jeff Samuelson. They brought me back from a place that you don't want to be. There are some individuals I'm going to talk about very special in my coaching and teaching career. Our players and managers. Great players make great coaches. Great managers make our program run smoothly, and we had some of the best in both categories. The managers made our duties and responsibilities as a coaching staff much easier. The coach at McCutcheon, Fred Fleetwood, who's in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, he took a chance and let me volunteer to coach basketball at McCutcheon. Phil Freeze, the guy who replaced his JV coach and was my freshman coach. One of the funniest and most positive individuals I've ever been around. Rogers had the second best record in the state during the decade of the 80s. Elston was probably in the top 15. Bill Hahn, just a second. In the 80s, we won 8 sectionals and 4 regionals. We never got to the state finals, but it wasn't from not trying. A lot of things come in between that. Bill Hahn is a Hall of Famer. He took a chance on me to be his JV coach and let me learn how to coach. Now, 2 special people, Bob Hood and Earl Cunningham. What can I say about Bob and Earl? From the first coaches meeting at Earl's house in the summer of '82, it was going to be different. Earl told Bob and I what he expected from us, and Bob and I told Earl what we expected from him. We had 3 teams, but we were all one. We had a basketball program. He let us speak to the media locally, regionally, and nationally. When you have a National Player of the Year, you get a lot of attention. We could substitute during the varsity games, but make sure you had a reason. He allowed us to coach. Dr. McCallum, I told you I was going to tell you how I helped an individual get a job. Here's the story. We're getting dressed one night in October for practice. I'm getting dressed, all of a sudden this letter comes flying at me in an envelope. Earl says, "You're an IU guy, you're in charge of the recruiting for Delray for IU." Now think about that. There's probably about 5,000 coaches in this country at that time. Earl Cunningham's the only one that's going to let his assistant coach be in charge of the recruiting at IU with Bob Knight. So I made the phone calls, we worked out different things, and recruiting's a lot different today than what it was back then. I made arrangements for the home visit. The day of the visit, Earl comes over we taught next door to each other, comes over to my classroom and he said, he says, "Jim Cruz called. Coach Knight wants you to pick him up at the airport." I said, "What about you?" He says, "He didn't ask for me." Problem was, we only had a Dodge Colt and a Mustang. So I called a friend, Mike Adjemi, called Mike, said, "Hey, can I borrow your car?" He had a big Olds 88. He says, "Let me check with Dad." So he calls me back, says, "Yeah," he says, "you can use my car, except don't let it happen again." I said, "What do you mean?" "I don't intend to." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Because Dad wants me to go get it washed and clean before you have it." And so that's what Earl did. But it's nice that all 3 of us are in the Wall of Fame. Now, I got to talk about Bob Hood. He was my mentor and friend. Now, there was a 30-year age difference here's my dad's age. But Bob was a philosopher. He told us things that still pertain today. He said, "You can yell at kids all you want. They don't care. But let them know at the end of the night that you still love them." And I always made sure, even in the classroom, the kid walked into class, they spoke to him, tell them to have a nice day on the way out. Because sometimes when you speak to a kid walking in the classroom, you might be the only one that acknowledges them that day at school or at home. That's just the way I did it. Earl and I, as Matt pointed out, are synonymous with each other. I've seen people say, "Didn't I have you in class?" "No, I had Cunningham, but I remember you 2 in the hallways." And that's the way we gel. We didn't care. Now I got to tell you a story. Our students got us. Kids in the hallway, as Matt alluded to, they didn't care for us. but the students we had got us. I walked into class one day, there's this big plastic coin on my desk. I look at it, I said, what's this? They say it's a token. I said, what do you mean a token? They say, well, you always say by the same token, so here's your token. And I said, well, and they said, well, Cunningham's getting one also. And they showed me this piece of paper with a boot on it, and it would flip around. I said, well, what's that? He says, well, Cunningham always says, and the kicker is. And so that's the way our students got us. But my students are the most important thing. It's been an honor and a privilege to connect with my students. I didn't know what I did as a teacher until after I got out. It was pointed out to me, I'd posted something on Facebook from TED Education. And it was, this lady gave a speech about connecting with your students. Mary Rooney, friend of mine from across the hall, she gave me a comment. Clausel Hardin, when he hired me for adult ed, said the same thing. Mary said, Rick, you're the best connector I've ever seen. So I wasn't a teacher, I just connected with the kids. What you see with me is what you got. Marty, or excuse me, Chief Corley, President Corley. Pretty accurate, isn't it? You know, some students, you had to get on them. Others, I'm going to list some of my success stories. I had a colleague that always talked about how many doctors, how many attorneys he had. Well, when you teach an elective, you're not getting doctors and attorneys. You're getting the average student. The students that need another opinion besides their parents. Others need you to care about them, give them confidence to be successful, and some just need to get on their butts. But I wanted to just a list here. Brad Warner, financial advisor. President of the school board, Police Chief Marty Corley. And we won't go into anything else about Marty, but you got to be careful when you do discipline them. They might come back to haunt you. Brandon Ward, Capitol Police, the Capitol in DC. Luckily for Brandon, he did not have to work. He had worked the late shift into the January 6th in the morning. Cheryl Kelly, Kelly's Food Truck. Scott Dolson, IU Athletic Director. Now I got to tell you a story. When I was Delray being recruited, I told Jim Cruz, the assistant, I said, hey, Delray's best friend is going to IU. He'd make a great manager. Well, Dr. McCallum, Scott was a manager. Delray left. Scott stayed. He worked for Bob Knight's son for 2 years. Applied to be the varsity club assistant director. He was the youngest director in the Big Ten. He just worked his way up through the athletic department. I never told Scott or Delray anything about the recruiting until Scott became AD. His comment was, thanks, because if you hadn't done that or if you'd have cut me, I'd probably be home selling insurance with Dad. But so I tell people that it was me that got Scott the job as athletic director. Keith Gales, the director of social workers in Texarkana. Chris Lambert, the social worker. Kira Rogers, middle school principal. Kate Rooney Morgan, communications director, Division of Student Affairs, Notre Dame. Brian Richards, teacher at Michigan City High School. Brian told Earl and I we're the reason he became a teacher. Anthony Bryant, Grammy Award music producer. Alex Stralinsky, operations manager, Roseline and Associates. Matt Schroll, Chicago Blackhawks ticket department. Joel Zawacki, chief communication officer of the Indianapolis Indians. Dr. Curtis Stevens, dean of accelerators and strategic initiatives, Austin Community College. William Walker, assistant director of the park department in Michigan City. Jennifer Stellema, movie editor. If you've seen the movie Air on how Michael Jordan got with Nike, she was the first editor on that movie. Matt Slagle-Milch, Scholastic Aptitude, yeah, the SAT. Laura Markowski in Parto. She's owner of Carlson's. Her brother, Tony Markowski, U.S. Navy. Tony's, you see on aircraft carriers, the guys with the colorful sleeves and that? That's Tony on the aircraft carrier. In concluding, I'm going to read an email I received during Teacher Appreciation Week, my last semester in the classroom. The email sums up my teaching career. I just hope I can get through it. Mr. Cummers, you probably don't remember me, and if you do, you have a wonderful memory. I took your marketing class at MCAS back in 1997. I wanted to take a moment to let you know how grateful I am for the change you made in my life. My guess is that you probably have no idea the impact you had on me. For some reason, you saw something in me which I'm not sure anyone else did. You let me know about the Indiana University Groups program, and I do believe you recommended me. I was a first-generation college student and never would have went to college if it hadn't been for you and the program. I ended up doing extremely well at IU and graduated from the Kelley School of Business when I was 20 years old, and I went on to work for Ernst & Young in Chicago and eventually returned to Bloomington to obtain my master's in higher education and student affairs. I'm now a counselor and an instructor at Butler University. I spend my days educating students and meeting with them one-on-one to help them achieve their career goals. I see a lot of discouraged students, and I love being there to encourage them and help them find their way. I also found myself volunteering, helping low-income members of the community attain the skills you need to find employment. I often receive emails and cards from students thanking me, and I receive so much pleasure from knowing that I have made a difference. I recently received an email from the students that reminded me of you and the impact on my life. So this letter is just a small token, there's the token again, of my appreciation of believing in me and giving me a chance to prove myself. Thank you. Nicole Brooks, formerly Nicole Randolph. Thank you.
Our second Wall of Fame inductee tonight is Gloria Domkowski, a former principal and teacher who still subs and tutors our students. Here tonight to introduce Gloria is Mike Mesh, who currently serves as our district's rock star math specialist. Mike, come on down.
My brother Joe plays a lot of golf with Matt and Rick. He told me, whatever you do, use all your clout in the district to don't go second. He said, you're not as funny as them, your stories aren't as good as those, so use all that clout, don't go second. Witness my clout. So it's a big time honor for me to get to nominate Gloria and to share this award with her. We wanted to do it years ago, but she just won't stop working. So, like, her son and I, Roger, we've talked about this for years and years, but we're like, we just have to go for it, Roger. We can't wait anymore. We're going to do it. So I'm glad that we did. It's a long time coming, and it's a great honor for Gloria. I didn't get to work with her very often, for very long though. I worked with her for 1 year at Knapp. So the teacher that I've been partners with for years took a job in LaPorte. It was the last 2 days before school started. We called Gloria. Gloria was there the next day, ready to teach 6th grade. That's right, 6th grade. She came back to teach 6th grade. So if you've taught 6th grade, that's a different deal. One of the things about Gloria that year we had together, it was a challenging group of kids. I think we had 42 kids. We had 28 boys. These boys were all that we could handle, but they were fantastic kids, but they kept us on our toes. They were really sports driven. They found out really quickly that Gloria knew a lot about officiating sports. Like, Gloria could officiate everything. So I went outside with them a lot at lunch recess, and I played sports with them to kind of maintain the order at recess. And they came in one day and they're like, Miss D, we were killing it on the basketball court today. You should have seen us out there. She was like, I saw you four. She was like, you traveled, you shoot too much, and you shot one over the backboard. And I was playing in this game, and they looked at me, and I was like, don't look at me. She told me I need to pass more. Gloria and I would text a lot during that year. Like, it was a challenging year. We relied on each other. I'm not gonna say she used the flip phone. She used the flip phone. She texted with us a lot. And I knew it was a rough day because I would get just a random text of a glass of ice with a bottle of Tito's behind it. And I was like, yeah, I feel that, Gloria. I might not be drinking it, but I feel it. So I got that same text like 10 days in a row, and I was like, she got me running low. So I went to the store. I'm not a drinker, but I went to the store. I bought a bottle of Tito's. I put it in a bag with some snacks, and I was bringing it into the school. Here I come with my bottle of Tito's, walking in the Horseshoe parking lot, walking into nap school. Got about halfway to the door, and I was like, I should probably turn around. This is a super bad idea. And I have never told that story. But I'm like, Gloria, if you got both superintendents, your current boss, and the director of HR in the same room, you tell that story. Mandy, I was still in the association at the time, so we're good, right? It didn't make it to the building. Relax, it's fine. Gloria was a treat to be with, to work with, to be around. I'll never forget Dr. Radford. I was like my first or second year in the district. Dr. Radford sent us to Maryville for some reason. Jan, I don't remember why we went. I was driving this 15-passenger van full of staff who I knew mostly, and Gloria had just had her knees redone, but I didn't know this. So she's sitting in the middle seat right behind me, and I'm driving this van down 65, and I'm a terrific driver. I'm flying, right? And I see her working the foot pedal the whole way with me. And we get out of it, we get back from Maryville, and I'm helping her out of the van because these knees still have the price tags on them, right, Gloria? And she pulls me in real closely, and she's like, sweetheart, don't ever quit your day job. But that's Gloria. As I was telling people who I had we were doing the Wall of Fame tonight and who I had nominated, I just said Gloria. There was no Gloria Demkowski, there was no Miss D, it was Gloria. Gloria has first name status in this district. It's LeBron, Michael, right? Oprah, Shannon, and Gloria. I'm gonna pay for that, Shannon, but I don't care. Gloria has first name status in this district. And that's 47 years, 57 years. Lord, I can't count that high anymore. I know I'm the math person, but I gave up. A Wall of Fame is never complete. This room is full of amazing educators. But it's, 5 steps closer to being complete by the people that have come in tonight. Gloria, I'm gonna break down, so come get this award.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. I'd like to thank my family as well. My husband, when I became principal, always knew what to do on the way home when I'd call him. He would, by the tone of my voice and our conversation, our adult beverage was either in the house or with his hand sticking out the door that I have before I come in, or out in the garage with a note that said drink before entering. He would know what kind of day I'd had. So thanks to my family, my husband, our oldest son Roger, and our youngest son Ryan, who couldn't be here tonight. He's in Fort Wayne with his 4 kids. And Ryan's advice to me tonight was be brief, be concise, be seated. So that's my goal. Thanks, Mike. Kind words and keeping the age jokes out of it was much appreciated. I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for the families that I established here in Michigan City area schools, beginning with my Park School family, with Tom Hooper as principal back in 1972. Please don't do the math. Then when they moved the 6th grade to Krieger, I got to establish a Krieger family, which was there for 5 years. And then finally I got the privilege of being principal at Edgewood, where I spent my last 12 years as an official employee of the Michigan City area schools. And yes, if you do the math, that was 40 years. In the last 12 years of my retirement, I have been blessed with some adopted families. Springfield, Pine, Knapp, Joy, and lastly, Lake Hills. And I have the field day t-shirts to prove it. Please, no more field days. So, Michigan City area schools has been a part of my life in some form or another since 1972. I did my student teaching at Park School with Ruth Rogrow. Then I was luckily hired right away that year, that fall, and as they say, the rest is history. Again, thank you to the Wall of Fame Committee. Thank you, Mike, from the bottom of my heart for the nomination, and bless you all.
Our third inductee tonight is Bruce Fisher, a longtime high school teacher and coach for the district. Sadly, Bruce passed away in 2022, but we are very pleased to have with us tonight his wife, Barbara Fisher. And here to present the award is his close family friend, Scott Ebert. Scott is himself a former coach and teacher who served our district for 37 years. Scott, please come forward.
Thank you so much for having those steps there, because a few years ago I could have just jumped right up here, but those days are long gone. I also wanted to congratulate all you retiree people, especially Kathy Ann. You're going to enjoy it. Every day is going to feel like a Saturday. Yes. And a big thank you to Jim Canola for nominating Bruce for this prestigious award. Thank you, Jim. A good place to start is at the beginning. Bruce graduated from Elston in 1956. He then furthered his education at the University of, well, you Ohio State people would say, that school up north. He graduated from the University of Michigan. You see, Bruce always loved kids, and he also loved track. So he knew what he wanted to become, and that was a school teacher. Only a few of us here tonight know that Bruce excelled in track. He was so good that in his senior year he set numerous track records, not only at Elston, but across northern Indiana. The week before he entered Valparaiso University, where he was planning to go, the head track coach from the University of Michigan came down and offered him Bruce a 4-year full-ride scholarship. It was here where Bruce earned his degree in education. His first 2 years in teaching were at elementary schools. His first year was over in Evanston, Illinois. And then Bruce came back, couldn't stay away too long because he had to marry the love of his life, Barbara. And it didn't take long for Bruce to receive a teaching assignment up at Allison High School. He was the health and safety and driver's ed teacher. When at Elston, Bruce was coach of both the cross-country team and the track teams. Later in 1972, Bruce went on to Rogers High School, where again he was both cross-country and track coach. You know, when I was reading all these letters for Bruce, like some of you nominees already said, I got teary-eyed on some of them, and then I was laughing on quite a few of them. And I was laughing on this one, and I thought I have to read this one. It says, the practice before the 1965 cross-country sectional, we were supposed to run the perimeter of the golf course. Instead, someone got a football out of coach's car, and we ran into a valley and started a football game, figuring the time that we should be back, Bruce wouldn't know. Well, after about 15 minutes, we all looked up, and we saw Coach standing there. And he was, I'll just put it mildly, mad. After finishing first, second, third, fourth, and fifth at the sectional, the practice before the regional, he flipped us, the runners, the football, and said, be back in a half hour. So he knew how to handle boys. Again, reading through the letters, I wrote down these things. I think it's very important. It tells how Bruce was as a teacher and as a man. This person said, I learned a lot from him as a coach and mentor. He was fun to be around, always encouraging and positive. Always there for me. He believed in me. He was an idol for some youngsters, and definitely a man of God, shown by the way that he taught, coached, and the way he acted. He was a motivator in the classroom and on the track. He taught us the importance of preparation, again, in the classroom and on the track. He treated everybody with kindness and respect, all the way from the manager to the top athletes. A good friend of mine flew up from Texas the other day just to be here with us, and he said this, those who knew him well, words like compassionate, driven, caring, high integrity, and honesty comes to mind. One of Bruce's students wrote about growing up on Michigan City's west side, where students felt not like the rest of the students in Michigan City. Well, he went on to say, Mr. Fisher told him that it didn't matter where you were from, that everyone was equal, and you should just do your best. This same student went on to say that because of Mr. Fisher's integrity and guidance, this student's grades started improving. So much that Mr. Fisher nominated him for the National Honor Society. However, he never made it into the National Honor Society. But he knew by that gesture that Coach Fisher said that he believed in him, not only as a student, but as an athlete. That person is here tonight sitting at my table, and he turned out quite well. He is now a very prominent lawyer in Michigan City. In conclusion, many students and athletes carry with them examples of Bruce's fine character, his humor, and all-around loving nature to this city. I know Bruce is looking down and enjoying this fine award. Thank you very much.
To his wife?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Should I have her come up here?
Let me keep this,
Okay, yes.
so I can keep up with him. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Should I have her come up?
yes.
Barbara, would you please come up?
We can meet her halfway.
Yeah, sure.
Take a picture.
Better use these steps.
Yeah, great.
Barbara, it's a plaque. You should see here at schools. Bruce's picture.
Next, we honor another individual who had a profound impact on our students, Dr. Jan Radford. Jan was our district's director of curriculum and served in several other administrative roles. Here tonight to speak about Jan is Nakia Jones Clark, a proud Michigan City High School graduate who was once Jan's mentee through the Hours for Hours program. Nakia has an applied health sciences degree from IU School of Public Health, and she has led agencies serving senior citizens and youth in the Bloomington area. I am so proud to introduce you to Nakia Jones Clark.
Thank you so much. So I'm so honored to be here tonight to present Dr. Radford with this award as a new MCAS Wall of Fame inductee. Dr. Radford has been a part of my journey from the very beginning. 23 short years ago in 2001 when I was in third grade at Knapp Elementary. We found out about this new program through the Safe Harbor program called Hours for Hours Mentoring Program. And my mom signed me up for everything. She also signed me up for this program. So for that, I'm grateful. So I had no idea what to expect, but I was told that once a week I would meet with my mentor and we would have lunch. So we had lunch and we played games, card games, board games. We talked about our favorite books, and time would just fly by. 30-minute lunch period. So, but otherwise, it was a simple meeting, but this weekly lunch date started to be the highlight of my weeks, and I literally would beg her not to take me back to class when I was in elementary school. So our mentor-mentee relationship blossomed and was no longer constrained to my school lunch period. I remember our first weekend outing where Dr. Radford picked me up from my house and accompanied me to my first play at Elston, which was Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Dr. Radford followed me to Elston for my middle school years and supported my academic and athletic efforts and became one of my biggest cheerleaders. I even introduced her to my inquisitive best friend, Jordan Williams, who she swiftly adopted as her mentee as well. And Dr. Radford encouraged me to dream big and start planning early for my future. In addition to our weekly lunches that were still happening while I was in high school, Dr. Radford introduced me to countless resources, summer enrichment programs for my mom to enroll me in, and her love of Indiana University, Bloomington. She introduced me to academic camps on college campuses, prepared me for the ACT and SAT, and was always there to answer any of our questions, especially when it came time to start applying for colleges. So when I received my admission letter to IU, Dr. Radford was just as excited for me as my own parents. I never would have guessed that our lunch dates would turn into such a beautiful 20-plus year friendship that keeps getting better and better, from her hosting marathon visits for my best friend and I that included studying, snacking, hearing funny stories about their crazy family trips, and learning about all the countries that Nikki, her daughter, visited or traveled recently to, from her and Steve, her husband, visiting me during my freshman year at IU, where their love story began, and to day trip to Chicago, our love of gardening, coffee, luxurious bath towels, and to our shared disdain of deer. From hearing all about what Adam is working on in Hollywood, to grabbing dinner with Nikki and Dr. Radford in Barcelona when we just happened to be there at the same time. From receiving much needed career advice in my 20s to now watching my almost 3-year-old son build a sweet relationship with Dr. Radford and her family as well. I'm not crying. Having Dr. Radford as my mentor was like having my very own personal cheerleader growing up. She always made me feel seen and heard from the 3rd grade through high school and beyond. She's so deserving of recognition for her dedication and contributions to programs like Hours for Hours, and because they're so important and they've made a huge impact on myself and other Michigan City area school students like me. So Dr. Radford, thank you, and help me congratulate her.
Dr. Radford's coming forward, so you can make sure you present the award, and she's going to share a few words with us. Congratulations. Make sure I'm there. You okay? Oops. Thank you. Let's use the working heels.
Hello, everyone. I haven't talked to this big a group of people in years. So hello, everyone. I'd like to thank Nakia Jones-Clark and Herb Higgin for orchestrating my nomination and introducing me. They are sneaky and thorough. They contacted family members, friends, colleagues to submit letters on my behalf. They reached out to my best friends from college. That's almost 50 years ago. They also included kids who weren't mine, but grew up in my house, and there they are. So I appreciate all of you so much. They maintained radio silence. I knew nothing. No one talked, which is crazy for this bunch. They normally can't hold water. So it was a complete surprise, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Just a bit about my presenter, Nakia. She did mention she was my Hours for Hours mentee. She was a smart and sassy 3rd grader. I was a little worried sometimes. But as she said, we used to play card games, board games. She usually beat me. And we formed a great relationship. And I've got to say that of all the programs that I worked on, helped create, this is probably the only one that I actually benefited from personally. I got a bonus daughter and a friend for life. So thank you, Nakia. I was lucky enough to hire Herb for the Safe Harbor program. Herb grew a program that far exceeded my dreams, my expectations. And again, I gained another awesome friend. Receiving a Wall of Fame nomination is an honor. I'm proud to have my life's work recognized in this way. I had the good fortune to work with incredible educators, like Dr. Ethan Watkins, some super principals, fabulous teachers, and we worked to create quality programs that changed the trajectory of children's lives. How cool is that? To take an idea, bring a group of people together, watch them take charge of that idea, bring it to life, and make great things happen for kids and their families is amazing. And to have a front row seat to that, awesome. Just fills my heart. Here are the few programs I had a privilege to work on with many of you that are in this room. Even Start, which enabled teen moms to obtain their high school diploma, participate in parenting classes while also receiving high quality daycare for their infants. Preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds, delighted to see that it's back. Hours for Hours Lunch Buddies, Safe Harbor that extends the school day and provides a safe space for kids in after school hours. Curriculum coaches offering support to their teacher colleagues to enhance their craft and make the good great. Early College High School providing support and resources for first generation college students. Last Friday, I got to participate in the 10th anniversary celebration to hear former students talk about what the program meant to them and their families. Filled my heart. Again, I want to thank everyone who nominated me. You have made me feel very special. I also want to thank my late husband, Steve. He was my rock and my sounding board. He was my first cheerleader, and he cooked me dinner every night. His support extended to his family, his mama, a couple sisters, a brother, in-laws, and a niece are here. Wave. They came from Indianapolis to spend the night, so I'm very happy they're here. As I wrap up, I want to speak to the educators in the room. Every day, you build brain connections, helping students connect the known to the unknown and guide them to care for one another and their world. You really are superheroes, and I want you to remember that every day, because I know you get beat up and it's hard sometimes. Congratulations, you successfully wrapped up another year. Rest up, recharge, and have amazing lives and careers. Thank you.
And last, but not certainly least, we have our final inductee to the Wall of Fame this evening, former German teacher Dan Ruth, affectionately known to all as Herr Ruth. Here tonight to introduce him to you is Kim Nowatzki. Many of you know Kim as a journalist who writes for the Beecher newspaper and other publications. She's covered this event for many, many years. She also happens to be the parent of 3 students who have been impacted by our inductee, Dan Ruth. Please come forward.
So when Betsy Cohn called me and told me that Herr Ruth was making it into the Wall of Fame, I was so happy. And then she asked me to do the speech tonight and present it. And I let out a big sigh and I said anything for Herr Ruth. So I'm more of a writer than a speech giver, so bear with me tonight. I'm so excited to be here tonight presenting this award to Herr Ruth. Since his retirement 5 years ago, I've had this on my to-do list and I'm thrilled that it's happening. With countless interviews as a freelance writer in this community for the past 31 years, I don't recall many that brought tears to my eyes. If they did, I was able to keep it together as I gathered information from the subject. But the one with Herr Daniel Ruth, the beloved German language teacher with Michigan City area schools for 45 years, was an exception. I knew how this kind, patient, and inspiring man had left such an impact on my own family. And I knew the loss to Michigan City High School his retirement would bring. Tears ran down my cheeks as I sat in his classroom, his soon-to-be former classroom, writing down his reflections from the past 4.5 decades of teaching. These are but a few of the many wonderful comments I received from others for that article. They best sum up why I nominated Herr Ruth. For parent Kelly Palmer, it was Herr Ruth's famous smile. Whenever the name Herr Ruth was mentioned to someone, a smile always appeared on their face. I noticed right away that he was always smiling and asked his students if he was always this happy in class. They quickly said, yes, we're pretty sure he smiles in his sleep. That smile also stuck out in the mind of her son Josh, a 2013 Michigan City High School graduate. In the 4 years I had Herr Ruth as a teacher, I never once saw him without a smile, he shared. For a teacher of a subject that can be frustratingly complex, such patience makes all the difference in the world. An educator of his like may come around once in a lifetime. Herr Ruth is gifted with the ability to simplify the complexities of language to such a degree that they can be understood by even the most stubborn of learners. What solidifies these reflections for me is that I know mine was not a unique experience, continued Josh. Long before taking his class, I've heard tales of the legend that was Herr Ruth. And now, years after having graduated, here I am singing the same praises that I once heard. Herr Ruth is truly a man of legendary stature. To have had the fortune of having him as an instructor is nothing short of a blessing. Michigan City High School graduate Anna Carlson Reynolds holds a bachelor's degree in Germanic Studies from IU, and she shared for my article what she learned from Herr Ruth. If you love what you know, you can teach what you know, and others will respond because of your love. It's the spirit and love with which you teach something that helps students to learn, regardless of the content. One could quickly tell what he was teaching was dear to him, and because he wanted to take the time to share it with me, I knew I was being taught well, and I definitely was. One of her fondest memories was the year the German club plastered Herr Ruth's photo on the front of their t-shirts, along with 2 of his favorite quotes. Wenn du meinst, meaning if you say so, and auf Deutsch, translated to in German. How'd I do on that, Gemini? Okay, good. He was my coach. Herr was such a good sport, she said. His biggest fans could be found in German club, and while we always enjoyed being a little silly, I think our appreciation of Herr always shone through. Gemini, a 2014 graduate with a master's in Germanic Studies from Purdue, who teaches entry-level German college classes at the University of Wisconsin, it's a mouthful, said as a student, he taught me to work through and adapt to situations that were completely foreign to me. As an instructor, his methods of teaching have been invaluable, as I often find myself using activities with my students that I remember fondly in his classes. Herr Carey Knopf, who teaches German at Chesterton High School, talked about the German-American Partnership Program, known as GAP, which Herr Ruth started a few years after beginning teaching at Rogers High School. Over 1,200 students have participated in the unforgettable experience of hosting a German student as well as traveling to Germany. The exchange has changed the lives of so many families in our communities, and it brought 2 sides of the world closer together, he said. This is something that we desperately need in today's world, and Herr Ruth is a true world citizen that has dedicated his life to making the world a little bit friendlier. Herr himself was an American exchange student who studied for a year in Germany and consequently met his future wife, Elfie. They celebrated their 50th anniversary last August. What sticks out in my own mind, of course, are the 3 German girls that my husband Terry and I hosted, and the wonderful experiences that our oldest 2 daughters, Erica and Casey, who's also here tonight, had because of GAP. Chesterton High School German teacher Justin Martinson said for the article, he takes time to get to know his students and he supports them inside and outside of the classroom. He trusts and respects all of his students, and he makes them feel welcome and cared about each day as they enter his classroom. Young people have interests, talents, and dreams, and I think they are very receptive to those teachers who notice them. Herr Ruth has been able to realize his students' talents and interests and then to help them use those talents to learn. He is a true master of not only teaching German, but of teaching students to love learning. I've never forgotten discovering in the interview that Herr Ruth, early on in his career, had a promising job opportunity to move and teach in Carmel, Indiana. But he turned it down. He had just started the gap exchange at Michigan City High School and knew there was a good chance it might not continue should he leave. As I wrap this up, I want to share the words that Michigan City High School Japanese teacher Michael Sagawa recently wrote for Herr Ruth. In August 2002, you took a very wet behind-the-ears rookie teacher, new to town, new to the school, and new to teaching, and welcomed him with a smile. I made countless mistakes, lost my way, and sure was not up to the high standards set by the veteran teachers in my new department. You still smiled and encouraged and reassured and had faith when I had none. And no matter how much of your time I took, how late or sloppy or just plain mistaken my paperwork was, you smiled and guided by example with truly the patience of a saint. I watched you show me and my colleagues how to weather the endless and inevitable storm after storm that teachers face with a smile, because you were unwavering about what was really important in what we do. The question you always asked was, what is best for our students? And you never strayed from that path. The generations, literally generations, of students who are so loyal to you are that way because you put them first. It was both humbling and a pleasure to be under your wing for all those years. No teacher I have met deserves Wall of Fame the way you do. Thank you. Before I present this to Herr Ruth, I believe we have a couple people that have something that they would also like to give to him.
My name is Ann Lute, and I am a 2002 graduate of Michigan City High School. I took German for 4 years with Herr Ruth, and he helped me through one of the most difficult times in my life, my father's death, my senior year. I think about every day the impact he had on me, the encouragement he gave me, even when I wanted to give up. When I heard you were getting the Wall of Fame, I made a post on Facebook asking for anyone who had Herr Ruth to send in a letter. 20 students wrote, going as far back as the class president of 1978, of letters. So this is a book full of photos and letters from former students about the impact you have had. And those who currently work with me know I am a pun master, so I have cleverly titled it Hair There Everywhere, a story of an impactful life. So Herr Ruth, thank you for everything you have done, for your support, and for helping me become the confident educator I am today.
Thank you.
It's going to be hard reading through tears. But I took Betsy's request that she wrote us in the letter, keep it to 2 to 3 minutes. I will try to be less, okay? The first person to ever yell at me for my speaking too long was Linda Meyer. She was really upset that I think talked like 10 minutes or more at one of the distinction dinners. Okay, but starting off the way I really should. Guten Abend, good evening, or should I say wow. What an honor. Before I go any further, I would like to say thank you to Kim Nowatzki for nominating me. I remember meeting Kim long ago when her oldest daughter, Erica, was in my German class, followed by Casey and more family. Kim, you were involved in numerous German activities like field trips and other get-togethers along with your daughters. You made my career easier, and many parents like you. But you were the one who unknowingly encouraged me to buy my first bread machine. I think she knows why, and I think Casey has a good idea. I also need to thank Dr. Eason Watkins. From our first encounter, that first welcome back to school speech you made long ago at to Michigan City area school teachers, you worked to lift every teacher to make us feel important. You may have asked us to do a lot for our students, but you also gave me the support I needed and encouraged me to help our students. I was in seventh heaven when you mentioned that first day there were a couple of really good things going on in Michigan City area schools, and that you knew about our German-American Partnership Program. I think you knew how important it was to me and to the students. Many city students met the German students, and I'm not talking about just my German students. These were kids all over the building. They were taking other languages. They were not taking a language. They met these German students. And some have kept in touch with each other through the decades. Several even being invited by their former host families to bring their new bride or groom over for the honeymoon. And they treated them for 7 to 10 days to things that they would have never experienced otherwise. I have to say that I could not have done any of this without the support of my wife, Elfrida, and my family. I think my sons missed me many a summer because for 40 summers I took kids to Germany. I want to close by saying that Rogers, Elston, Michigan City High School have been my teaching home. I am so honored to have had so many wonderful students and colleagues. I would have never earned this honor without you and the parents, the community who have supported me. Thank you.
Thank you all. Today has been amazing for the Wall of Fame inductee ceremonies. Congratulations to the 2024 Wall of Fame inductees. Please stand and give them all another round of applause. They truly deserve it. We now move to the portion of tonight's program where we celebrate our distinguished retirees. This year, we honor 14 employees who are retiring from the Michigan City area schools. Our 2024 retirees have a combined 420 years of service to our corporation. Before we move on to the distribution of our recognition awards, I would like to ask this year's retirees to join me in a little exercise that we do each year at this event. I know you all have been sitting for a while, so first, I would ask all of this year's retirees to please stand. Now, if you have more than 10 years of service with the Michigan City area schools, please remain standing. Now, if you have 15 or more years of service, please remain standing and others can be seated. How about 20 years? How about 25 years? How about 30 years? 35 years? 40 years? Thank you to Mark Mars, who has 40 years of service, and Bruce Parker with 44 and a half years. And I want to note that Shelley Deutscher has 41 years of service, but she is not able to be with us tonight. So we have 3 employees with over 40 years of experience. Once again, a big round of applause. We sincerely thank all of you for your service. As I mentioned earlier, whether you have been a classroom teacher or you supported our students in other capacities, you have made a difference in the lives of countless students. And at this time, Mandy and I will be asking each of you to come forward to accept a token of appreciation.
Connie Altoff with 21 years. Connie worked for MCAS as a special education teacher at Knapp, Edgewood, and Springfield Elementary Schools. Her plans for retirement are to be determined, which she defines as doing what I want to do, when I want to do it.
Next, we have Stacy Attar, who is retiring after 12 years. Stacy is our Director of Special Education, and she also served our district as a special ed teacher, a special ed teacher support specialist, and the Assistant Director of Special Ed. She is going to be moving on to a new venture where she will continue working in our community to support families who have children with special needs. But she also plans to enjoy retirement. She will be spending time with her family, attending live performances of any kind, reading, and traveling.
April Burns with 39 years. April is retiring as the curriculum coach at Knapp and Pine. She also taught first, second, and third grades at Marsh. She taught after-school remediation and summer school I Read 3 and was a tutor at the Sandcastle Shelter. Now she will be a stay-at-home grandma raising her granddaughter Madeline. She also plans to travel to places she has never been before.
And you may have seen this picture floating on Facebook. April's first principal, Vice President of our Board of Trustees, Tom Domkowski. Next, Julie Chappell, 20 years with the Michigan City Area Schools. Julie is a paraprofessional who serves students with special needs at Knapp and Pine Elementary, and finally at Krieger Middle School. She retired in 2023 and says she has been healing from cancer and she is enjoying spending time with her family. Julie, we are so glad you are here tonight. We really wish you good health and happiness in the days ahead, but more so, thank you for your service to the Michigan City Area Schools. Next, we have Marlene Dean Chandler, 30 36 years with the Michigan City area schools. Marlene has been a lunchroom aide, a paraprofessional, and an instructional assistant for the Even Start program. Over the course of her long career with our district, she has worked at Joy, Elston High School, Barker Junior High, Elston Junior High, Michigan City High School, and the A.K. Smith Career Center. Her retirement plans include traveling, hanging out with her grandchildren, volunteering, and maybe getting a retirement job. And I think you've heard tonight, Marlene, we may have one in mind for you.
As a paraprofessional, I have seen so many children while working in 36 years, but gotta go.
Shelley Deutscher, with 41 years of experience, is not present tonight. Over the course of her long career with MCAS, Shelley worked as a K-2 teacher at Central, Mullen, and Eastport elementary schools, and she was the STEM coordinator at Lake Hills. She led many STEM-related extracurriculars for students at Lake Hills, including the Science Club, Math Club, Lego Robotics Club, STEM after-school clubs, and Lunch and Learn clubs. She also was the facilitator of the school's Fab Lab. Now that she has retired, she is enjoying spending time with her family.
Karen Gare, 20 years, was not able to join us this evening. Karen worked for our district as a paraprofessional, serving students with special needs at both Mullen and Lake Hills Elementary. In retirement, she plans to enjoy her hobbies and spend time with her family.
Kathy Naus, with 32 and a half years. Kathy started teaching at Park Elementary for 1 year and then spent the next 31 and a half years of her teaching career at Joy Elementary School. She has taught every grade at the elementary level except kindergarten. She was the sponsor of the Joy Newspaper Club for several years. Now she is looking forward to traveling and visiting family and friends whenever she feels like it. She plans to see as many national parks as she can. Most of all, she will enjoy sleeping in. Mark Mars, with 40 years. Mark began teaching for our district in 1984 at Krieger and then worked at Elston before moving to Michigan City High School after consolidation. He was the science department chair and taught chemistry, chemistry 2, physics, AP chemistry, AP physics, integrated chemistry and physics, general science, and 8th grade math. He also was a class sponsor and sponsored the science club, fishing club, and table tennis club. He even served as the assistant coach of the JV girls basketball team in the 1990s. You will also find him on the sidelines at many of our high school athletic events, operating a video camera or taking photos. In retirement, he will spend time on his many hobbies, which include things like beekeeping and fishing, and he says he will finally get his house remodeled and do some traveling with his wife, Sue. He also has an idea for a book, so stay tuned. George Olson, with 34 years. George has taught music at every grade level, K through 12. He was a K-6 general music teacher, a chorus director for grades 5 to 9, and a band director for grades 4 to 12. He worked at Mullen, Neiman, Cool Spring, Marsh, Joy, Park, Pine, Lake Hills, Rogers High School, Michigan City Junior High School, Michigan City High School, and Krieger Middle School. He also directed the high school jazz band, pep band, and marching band. In retirement, George is looking forward to raising his new baby girl, Madison Christine Olson, who was born on February 24th, 2024. Bruce Parker is retiring with 44 and a half years. Bruce began his teaching career with our district in 1979. He has also taught every grade level, K through 12. He was a physical education and health teacher, a coach, a team leader, a department chair, a lunchroom supervisor, and a summer school teacher. Over the years, he worked at Elston, Rogers, and Michigan City High Schools, Krieger and Barker Middle Schools, and Cool Spring, Joy, and Marsh Elementary Schools. He was the baseball coach and an athletic trainer at Elston High School, and he coordinated the Hoops for Heart program at Barker for many years, raising over $15,000 for the American Heart Association. His retirement plan is to do what he wants to, when he wants to, and to travel with his wife. Tess Pavlov with 23 years. Tess taught kindergarten for her entire 23 years with our district. At first, she split her time between Neiman and Edgewood, but then she spent the remainder of her career teaching kindergarten at Edgewood. At Edgewood, she sponsored the Dream Big Drama Club and led a family art program called Picasso's with Pavlov. In retirement, she will continue working in education in some capacity, volunteering in the classrooms of her colleagues. She will also travel, watch her grandchildren grow, and pursue a second career as an artist and author.
Our first title is going to be "The Class That Couldn't Stay Quiet." I'm illustrating it even as we speak.
Janine Pio is retiring with 37 years. Janine taught social studies and French at Rogers and Elston High Schools, Barker Junior High, Krieger Junior High, and Elston and Krieger Middle Schools. She also was a team leader, breakfast and lunch supervisor, academic coach, middle school volleyball coach, and student council advisor. She plans to keep very busy in retirement. She will spend more time with her family, and she'll be traveling, gardening, refinishing furniture, and making home improvements. You will probably also find her volunteering in the community and at our state and national parks. Sheila Sebecki is retiring with 20 years. Sheila is retiring as the high ability teacher for grades 4 to 6 at Springfield. She previously taught 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grades, as well as a multi-age high ability classroom for grades 3 to 5. She worked for 1 year at Edgewood and 19 years at Springfield, where she sponsored the National Elementary Honor Society and coached the Math Bowl team. Her retirement plans are to do all the things that she loves: travel, read, entertain, volunteer, and spend time with her family. Now, before I relinquish the podium tonight, we have one more retiree that I would like to recognize. Dr. Barbara Easton Watkins. She will be retiring on August 2nd with 14 years of service to our district and 50 years in education. You can read her bio in the program tonight, which highlights her many accomplishments as our superintendent and over the course of her career. She has stated that she wanted the focus tonight to be on our retirees and Wall of Fame recipients, but we also could not let this opportunity pass. to acknowledge her service and thank her for all that she has done for our staff, our students, our families, and our community. And so I'm going to present you with this small acknowledgement of your service, and I ask everyone to join me in a round of applause for Dr. Barbara Easton-Watkins.
Well, thank you all from truly the bottom of my heart. I have enjoyed working in Michigan City like no other. These 14 years out of the total of 50 have been the very best of my educational career. And it's because of all of you, the amazing team of teachers, staff, principals, and our district leaders. They have worked so hard to support the work in this community. And I want to thank my husband who is here tonight as well. Close to 45 years. We realized during the pandemic, we had not spent 7 days together at all over the past 10 years at that point. But he has always been the wind beneath my wings, and I thank him for allowing me to serve. Thank all of you so very much. And if we can now just give a final round of applause for all of our 2024 honored retirees. They have given so much. I'm just thinking, I've lost my control here, because I said I wanted tonight to be all about the retirees and Wall of Fame. Nobody listens to me anymore. But before we conclude our program for the evening, I do have one final announcement. We have some members of the news media here tonight, and they've requested that all of our retirees gather in the lobby for a group photo. And I think there are a few others here who may want to get pictures, so please let the news media take their pictures and you can take pictures afterwards. So please gather now in the lobby. And again, a special thanks to everyone who has come tonight to celebrate our retirees, our amazing Wall of Fame inductees. And again, just thanks to all of you for caring and serving the Michigan City area schools, a truly deserving district, a truly deserving community. Thank you very much.